Here I'm going to review the green cards and a couple of artifacts I pulled out of 7 packs of Saviors of Kamigawa. This is the third video that I'm making of reviewing all these cards, and I have to admit that these are the first 7 packs of this set and probably the last that I will buy. I love the fact that I pulled 3 legendaries, and I'm sure I can make some really fun casual commander decks later on with these cards. But yeah, looking through the cards, some of them have abilities that seem complicated, and it seems overall they're all heavily overcosted by at least 1 CMC, 1 converted mana cost. So here's Reki, the history of Kamigawa. It's a legendary, that's great. Whenever you play a legendary spell, draw a card. It's a 3 for 1/2. That's not unreasonable. It's a rare. Of course, it would be an uncommon in any other set, which means effectively that Saviors doesn't have any rare cards. Whenever you play a legendary spell, draw a card, that's pretty good. You know, and if you play a lot of legendaries, especially in a commander card, you'd have one card you'd call your commander, but you can have another 39 or whatever it is, 20-something creatures that are all legendaries, and every time you play, you're going to be drawing a card. Now, I wouldn't make this. Yeah, see, it'll have to be all green, so you couldn't have a lot of other legendaries that are not green. So that's a little limiting. You have to collect a bunch of legendary creatures that are green. Still, I think it's doable. Ayumi, the Last Visitor. It's got legendary land walk. Very good in block constructor with a bunch of legendaries. But if your opponent has no legendaries, you've got nothing out of this one. Although it's a 5 for 7/3, very aggro. I like that. I mean, that's almost like a true rare. Then here we have the green creatures. And I'm sorry to say that I do sound a little negative when I discuss these cards. But I just got done making a bunch of videos from the Mirror Dance set block. And boy, those cards looked a lot more playable than these. I mean, especially with Affinity. Talk about kryptonite for card play and Magic, playing Affinity, and it's no surprise that it is one of the major abilities still played to date in modern constructed tournament level decks. So Shinin of Life's Roar is a 2-drop 1/2. That's not too bad. All creatures able to block Shinin of Life's Roar do so. I don't know, maybe that's a way of saying this thing is from the Savior set, just kill it. I'm sure there's a good way of playing this card. Elder Pine of Jukai is a 3-drop 2/1. A long paragraph that would take me 3 hours to read in a limited environment. And it's got Soul Shift 2, which I'll have to read about, and I'm sorry I do not know what that means. You can get some lands out of this. That I know. But I'm not going to read that. Haru Ona is a 4-drop 2/1 uncommon, which is shocking. And when it comes to play, you draw a card. Yeah, if it was a 2/1, I would think of it as an uncommon card compared to the other cards that I've played with or seen. But wow, a 4-drop for 2/1, that's hard. Kami of the Tended Garden is a 4/4/4. If we read the text, I'm sure there's something in it that's bad. Because if it's in Saviors a 4/4/4, that's pretty good, and it's uncommon. At the beginning of your upkeep, you have to sacrifice it unless you pay another mana. There you go. I would erase that for this card and just leave it as a 4/4/4 uncommon, and it would be good. But if you've got to sacrifice it or pay mana, that's not good. This card could only be a good uncommon played against other uncommons and Saviors. It's got Soul Shift 3, which is this whole thing about the spirit cards and their CMCs. So you're gonna have to play a bunch of spirits for this thing to be useful. Matsu Tribe Birdstalker, got 2 of them, and Fiddlehead Kami got 1. So Fiddlehead Kami is a 5 for 3/3, which would be a bad artifact in any other set. Whenever you play a Spirit or Arcane spell, regenerate this card. Unplayable. when compared to something like Miradan, of course. Absolutely. Matsu Tribe Birdstalker is a 4/2/2. It would be a bad artifact in the Miradan block as well. And when it deals combat, tap that creature, and it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. That's pretty good. For an additional mana green, this card may block as though it had flying until end of turn. That is not bad either. If it was a 3/2/2, it would be nice. But it's a 4/2/2, and it's in Saviors. Okina Nightwatch, 2 of them. And Briar Knit Kami. So a 5 for 4/3 for Okina. As long as you have more cards in hand than each opponent, Okina Nightwatch gets +3/+3, which would have been awesome, totally awesome, if there were cards in this set that allow you to, number one, have easy access to a large hand that is allowed, and then just to draw like crazy, which I don't see in any of the cards that I've looked at that you can do. So it looks like Saviors forgot a key ability to make it really playable, especially with all these cards that have all this, you know, more cards in hand or fewer cards in hand business. Briar Knit Kami is a 5 for 3/3, a bad artifact in Miradan again. Whenever you play a spirit or arcane spell, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So really, I mean, it's uncommon. So this would be a really bad common in Innistrad. If you dropped it to a 3/3/3 and made it uncommon in another set, I could see it making sense. Pulled a foil and 2 regular Night Soil Kami. A 6/6/4 with Soul Shift 5. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, that looks very playable. Of course, you have to get all the way to being able to play a 6, but yeah, that looks playable, and you can dig up a big spirit out of your graveyard. Dosan's Oldest Chant. We're going through the sorceries. You gain 6 life and you draw a card for 5. That's not too bad. Of course, the gaining of life for paying mana is a lot better when you don't have to pay such a heavy card. If you get as far as being able to drop 5, yeah, I could see it being playable. I shouldn't be so hard on Saviors. Inner Calm, Outer Strength is what you'll need if you're playing this set. If a 3-drop instant, target creature gets +X/+X. Again, X is the number of cards in your hand. Man, if I was in a pre-release with this set, by the time I read this card, I would be like, can you please stop saying that in a card? 2 Rending Vines. Destroy target artifact or enchantment if its converted cost is less than or equal to the number of cards in your hand. Like Reagan used to say, there you go again. I mean, why can't you just make it a simple 1 green and call it Naturalize? That's it. Call it Naturalize. Okay, so here we have 2 of Manriki Gusari, an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+2 and has destroy target equipment. I guess this one was good for when you were playing in Standard and you had a bunch of Mirror decks that you were fighting against. I know in the current Return to Ravnica plus Innistrad block, there aren't a lot of equipments around. I like this card. I like the artwork. Wine of Blood and Iron. Target creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is its power. That's actually pretty good for 3. It's a rare. That's good. Then Pithing Needle, I think the best pull in the entire 7 packs, which basically means that I paid like $20 for this card, is a great 1-drop. When it comes into play, name a card. Activated abilities of the named card can be played unless they're mana abilities. This card is actually in the current Standard.